chase betterment, chase personal development, professional development, and you will ultimately win. There's no losing with that. It's not degrees. It is an unwavering, relentless pursuit. Those who refuse to give up. That's it. Welcome to ThriveWell with Jess Woodbeck.
Yes.
Brendan Hunt,
That's
thank
me.
you so much for joining me. I am so pumped. The number one reason you're sitting here right now is we made a major announcement this last week. You've gone from agent, well, let's back it up. You've gone from full-time teacher to agent to lead agent at Thrive Realty Co. And in 2022, you're starting out the new year as director of sales of Thrive Realty.
Yeah,
It's pretty exciting.
it is. It's really exciting.
I'm pumped about it. So what I think is most important, let's talk to people about that journey, how you earned your way, because, you know, we're big fans of that. We're not just handing out cookies.
Yeah.
You have put in the time, the work, and the effort, and it's gotten you every step of the way to those titles.
Yeah. My journey definitely, if I'm true with all of this, with myself,
Please.
this wasn't the expectation, right, to start. I got into this as a side gig a while back we were still living in Houston. And it was never intended to be full-time, right? It was intended to be that side gig type thing, because teachers should get paid more money. That's my little influx.
They
with
should.
that.
I'm
But
going to
anyways,
double down on that.
Besides that point. But anyways, yeah, so it was something fun and I enjoyed doing it. And then as I made the transition back up here to Michigan, it became evident that I wanted to be a part of something bigger. And you and Justin had set the framework for that. And
Well, let's talk about that, because I think a lot of people are in that position, not necessarily moving from Houston to Michigan, but searching online, looking for opportunities, looking for places for their license to go, which was probably your initial search and find, right?
Yep.
I just need to move. I got a Michigan license now. I need it to be held somewhere because I want to part-time my way in real estate, as I did in Houston.
Yep.
So when you're doing the search and find, what happened?
Yeah, I stumbled on a few. I was with a super small brokerage in Texas originally, and it was nice because I was directly able to know my broker. So I wanted that same relationship, but I also wanted someone that was on the forefront of social media, first and foremost, as well as have a great relationship with the community. So I started doing a little bit of digging and quickly ruled out a couple other players. And you guys were there, and you were the first one that I wanted to interview with. And from there, it was like evident from the time that I met Kim and Trish during my first round of interviews that I was like, this is a place that the energy feels different here. Everything about it to me felt really, really comfortable from the second that I walked in. And that was huge for me. I needed a spot that I was going to feel comfortable because I wanted to push myself to grow. And I knew I had areas to do that. And the social media presence that you guys had to start is what drew me there originally. And then you were actually speaking on a panel. Was how I got your email, was through a speaking engagement that you had. And kind of went that route with it. And I think it's important to evaluate what you guys could do, right? And so when I went in, it was almost like I felt like I had more questions for you guys because I wanted to make sure I was in the right spot. In every single box, I feel like got checked. And I, to this day, am like super happy that I made that decision to come on board with you guys, because it's been different ever since then.
Yeah, so are we. I remember having that initial conversation with you. You were still in Houston. It was a phone call. And back then, we were simply a sales force with a big franchise. And I remember getting off the phone with you, and your idea was, well, I'm going to be part-time, not sure how long that's going to take. Eventually, I'll go full-time. I'm looking for a space to grow. And I'm looking for modern real estate tactics. I remember getting off the phone and saying to Justin, like, wonder how quick we can make that part-time go full-time? I wonder.
I don't know. You push the limits on it, though, for sure.
We did. And look at you now.
Yeah.
Look how far you've gone with it, which is so exciting.
We can say it out loud. It's fine. Jess was right. Yeah, it's fine.
Does everyone hear
Justin,
that?
did you hear that? Jess was right. Yeah.
Repeat. Okay, good. Okay, so let's talk. You're now a full-time agent.
Yeah.
You made the leap, and I think this is a really important topic because there are so many people just like yourself out there who are looking to go from where they're at. Maybe it's teaching, maybe it's nursing, maybe it's a server position, bartender position, and they are saying, I'm not fulfilled. The world has changed. I want to change too.
Yeah.
So how did you end up making the decision of going from full-time teacher to part-time agent, going, nope, I'm going to take the leap of faith. I'm going to do this. I'm going full-time. I'm leaving my 9 to 5.
Yeah. That was in the middle of a pandemic with a baby.
Right.
Yeah, there was a lot of thought that went into that. I think I was somebody who needed to prove to myself that I could do it. And at the same point in time, I also recognized that I was using the teaching job as a crutch. I was using that as the justification to not go full time.
And when you say a crutch, do you mean
Yeah.
convenience, security?
Yeah, security,
That was
for
the
sure.
crutch,
It was the
right?
crutch,
Well,
yeah.
which we're taught, right? Our traditional programming tells us, right? Security equals job. Job
Exactly.
equals security.
Yeah, and that was what I kind of went through, right? Was that sort of mental journey of can I rip this salary away and trust myself enough that I can build a business out of it?
I hope everyone just heard that because that's most important.
Yeah.
Do I trust myself enough?
Yep.
Yeah.
And not only trust yourself enough, but trust everyone around you to push you in that direction too. I think that's something that can't be understated. And honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons that I made the jump was not just myself, but the support system that exists within this organization. I had been craving that for since I left sports, I think, right? When you're in a sports team, everybody's got that common goal. We're all working towards the same thing. And you don't find that in business all the time, right? And we have it here. And that was a huge piece to it where I was able to say, I know that I have people that are going to hold me to a high standard here. And I want that. And I know that I have people here that will not only push me from the business standpoint, but push me to grow personally too. Which I think is to have that in the current situation where we know things like mental health and all of that are at an all-time high for struggles. To be in a system that allows you to have not only those moments, but is encouraging of those moments, right? We know we can grow in those spaces. So why would we not push people to grow there?
I love that. I think you said a few things that are really important. Number one, this is not commercial on join Thrive Realty Co.
No.
I think that's important.
I don't
for
know
people
these questions.
To know.
Yeah, literally, I asked her, I was like, so is there anything I need to do? And she's like, no. If you know me, I'm a planner.
You are a preparation kind of guy.
So I don't like this atmosphere currently.
Yeah. Just honest and raw. So, I think what's most important about what you said is that it is a space to grow. It is community-based. These are things that were important to you. It is, when you talk growth, obviously it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There is accountability around that because without that, you can't grow. So we're not for everyone at Thrive Realty Co., but certainly for people just like you that are interested in something that's bigger than themselves that will help create you becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the coolest part about riding alongside your pathway that you've taken is watching you take that on every step of discomfort for you and watching you go, okay, I'm going to take this in. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And watching you persevere. I mean, it's been awesome to see. So let's give people some stats of what this means. You went from part-time agent to a lead agent. In your full-time year of lead agent, you hit double digits of volume sold and units sold. What did you quadruple your teacher salary?
Yeah, really close to it.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So let's underline that. You quadrupled your teaching salary.
That I was originally concerned with whether or not I could make.
Could I even make
Right.
it? Exactly. And that's all you were really interested in. I just want to be able to make the same salary, create the same security, and that's a win for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's phenomenal. It happened for me too when I left my corporate job. Was I just want to replace my salary.
Yeah.
That is the ceiling. That's what I'm after. Actually, that's the floor.
Right.
But at the time, it felt like that's the ceiling. And I did the same thing. I didn't quadruple. You're a stunner. I doubled. And it was incredible, right?
Yeah.
It changed the trajectory of my family and our life and our legacy that we could now start working towards.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you said something that I love is the ceiling versus floor debate. We so often quantify what we can do based on these like external standards. So my external standard was my original salary, and I just wanted that. I actually think I probably made a mistake doing that. It was probably limiting. Yeah, I 4X'd, but could I have 6X'd, right, if I had set that floor a little higher? But I think that's the mental space that a lot of people live in is what does it... Can I truly believe that and say it out loud? And I didn't. I 100% didn't to start. But now I can wholeheartedly say, like, I've set a new standard. I have a new floor for what I view as successful and where I want to be, and holding myself to that standard has been like a fun journey to be just a part of, like, myself, I guess we'll say. Because I feel stretched, like you've talked about plenty of times. I have felt stretched in the last year more than any other time that I think I've been alive here, and because of that, I think all of that contributes to that new standard. It contributes to what we're considering a success from here on out, because you've been through that other stuff already.
Well, and what you're truly looking to achieve, right? It shifts that completely from I want to be a good agent doing great business that creates a decent income to, wait a second, what's this world like? Who can I be in this industry? Who can I be in my family now? Right? What does that represent? So, okay, let's talk about the aftermath of you going for it, being stretched, feeling uncomfortable, growing. What has that afforded you in your first year and a half of going after it? Because you did some pretty remarkable things. But
I think more than anything, it's afforded me a different outlook, like what you just said, of what's possible. I know I relate this back to teaching a lot, but it's true. It's where I lived for so long, and I've had to live for so long, and I still do. But that comparison model of, I knew that if I stayed teaching for roughly another 10 years, that I would cap out at 80K or 85, whatever district I was in. And there was that systematic upgrade of income, no matter what you did, right? I mean, that's used loosely, but majority of the time you were upgraded from a salary standpoint. But my cap, even if I worked another 10 years, was always 80. And that's just what had been ingrained in my mind, right?
Programming.
Exactly. So to break that programming, I think, is the biggest thing that's happened this year for me personally. And I've noticed my thought process change of, why are we limiting ourselves to 80K, right? And then I've sat with a lot of people who are considering joining Thrive, and we have that conversation of, what does success look like to you, and how does that feel? And I would say that 90% of the time, they just want their salary back. And my new response to that 100 question of the time is, why? Your previous company set that number for you. So is that the number you really want? Or is there more to dig with there, right? And so many people just haven't thought that way. And I now am starting to think that way more often, of like, okay, what's the cap on this? Like, is there an upper bound to this? And that's really, really cool to be able to think like that and feel like what that feels like and see where it could go. You guys always talk about living a big life. And without that mindset, I don't think you can truly do that, right? You can live great.
Yeah.
But like untapping, what does that potential even look like? And are we even close to being there yet?
I love that. I'm hearing the difference between thinking small, which is based on traditional societal programming, and thinking bigger, right? And blowing the cap off of what are our wildest dreams.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the board, and then I'm going to formulate a plan of exactly how we could reach that.
Right.
And go after it. And then, this is something that comes up a lot. I've sat with lots of people lately that are looking to make changes in their life, and I talk about two differences. I talk about how you can thrive in real estate, which right now in our marketplace is fairly easy to do, versus thriving well.
Yeah.
And what does thriving well look like to this person? And it's all encompassing. It's not just a great income, which right now most people have, right? And when you have a great income, it's easy to go, okay, life is good. But are you happy? Are you healthy? Are your communication skills growing? Is your skill set growing? Because the people I've sat with are looking for more than just money.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that conversation, which I've been in talent acquisition for years, and the conversation usually is, well, this is what I make, and this is what I want to make.
Yeah.
This is what I did, this is what I want to do.
Yep.
And it's all around income. The conversation has gone from that to what's the opportunity here? What is beyond being an agent?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be an agent, how am I going to grow in other ways?
Yep.
We understand income is easy here. If I do simple things over and over and over again, income is endless. What's beyond that?
Yeah.
And I love that. You've taken your career in a very short period of time of going, yeah. Money's important. I can do some wicked awesome things like buy a rental property my first full-time year in real estate. Let my wife now, not from a chauvinistic standpoint, but from a financially secure standpoint, go part-time if she wants to in her job, not work at all if she wants to.
Yeah.
She's got options because we have options now as a family. Two, what's beyond that?
Yeah.
Now that I can say, okay, cool, I can make whatever I want. Now what? How do I stretch my mind mentally, or how do I stretch my career mentally? How do I stretch my home life to be the best it can be? And that's that personal development piece.
Right.
How do I become the best version of myself? That's the stuff, I think, without a doubt, the last 18 months of what we've all gone through, regardless of industries you're in, people are thinking about more.
Yeah.
They're contemplating more.
Yep.
It's beyond money at this point. What's life going to be like, and how can I make it the best it can be?
Yeah. I actually think, and maybe I'm wrong for this, but I think that work from home had a lot to do with that, right? I mean, you break that barrier of having to come into an office, and all of a sudden you're able to completely remove where you need to live.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you open up in that thought process alone, say, hey, I'm in Royal Oak. Okay, am I truly happy in Royal Oak, or do I just live here because my job's here? And I think that, to me, starts that thought process with a lot of people of, am I truly even happy with my job, or do I just work here because I do it, right? And it provides me with a comfy living. Or do I want to do better?
People were more efficient, during this time period because they were scared. So the idea of working from home and not getting your work done was out the window, right? We are forced to work from home. My job is
everything's got to keep going
for debate now.
Yeah.
I've got to really buckle down, and the efficiency rate went through the roof.
Yeah.
And so people had more time to contemplate. All of a sudden their work was done, and they're like, well, should I get a part-time job?
Right.
Should I start door dashing? What should I do?
Yeah.
And now people are in the realm of, oh, well, crap, I don't have to do that 9 to 5.
Yep.
All the boundaries have been broken, and now we get to rebuild. What's it look like?
Yep.
I love that. I love that thought process. Okay, so if there's one thing you could tell a corporate career person looking for more, searching for more, a 9 to 5 who's dissatisfied and said, I know I have more potential, or an average agent that's doing great, income's there, but is feeling empty.
Yeah.
What is it that you can give them from the borrowed belief of, I did it, I was there, I know what you're going through? What should they be focused on?
See, these are the questions that I asked for ahead of time that I didn't get.
We don't want that.
Yeah, I know. But I like to think about these things. So the first thing, though, that comes to my mind is that it's never going to go away. Like, the first time that you have that thought of like, I wonder if I did this, it's only going to become more and more prominent, and you're going to get to that breaking point of needing to make that decision, right? And I think it's important that you talk to somebody who's done it. Talk to somebody who's made a transition. Listen to the success stories. And then the biggest thing, the number one thing, is I think you have to surround yourself with a system that fits you. Because you can only do so much on your own, right? We talked to how many agents that are at that like $5 million-ish level. That's that like critical breaking point level of, I either got to hire somebody because I can't do this all myself, or I got to figure out another solution to it. And no matter if you're in corporate world or you're in that space, I don't think it matters, but finding the system that fits you is going to make the most sense for you personally, and you have to believe it. So when we have it's not, the cool part about Thrive is it's not just my success story, right? There's so many people that we can look to around here that are closing some really, really big numbers from a business standpoint. But I bet if you ask them the question, what have they done? Are they more proud of their personal development or professional development? I bet a majority of them would say personal for sure.
Yeah.
And that to me is super rewarding to be in that space. And that's what I craved, right? Yeah. Like I want to get better in every single aspect. So I think it's important that people consider that from corporate America. Is your company pushing you to be a good person or a good worker? And I'm super happy to say that I'm pushed to be both.
I love that. I think one of the pieces that I'm hearing you say is, are you, when you work for anybody, any company, I don't care if it's corporate America or you're in a commission-only position as an agent, as a salesperson somewhere, the environment, when you say system, obviously
environment,
everyone understands. Brendan is a former math teacher. He's methodical. Everything's a system. I imagine Brendan's brain being like just crazy numbers, like matrix style all the time.
No, a lot of times it's not that.
Okay, so when you say system, you're saying...
There's an empty cloud sitting up here a lot of times.
Maybe that's true, and I'm just giving you too much credit. But when you say system, you're saying environment. Environment can be methodical, systematized. That's your word, systemized.
Systematized.
Okay, systematized.
Processized is my actual word. But.
It can be that, or it can be people. Which, in my experience, environment is people.
Yeah.
And if you are surrounded with the wrong people, that's what's going to show up in your life. Could you make good money around the wrong people? Of course.
You can make good money almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
But who you do it with and how it gets done, I think that has been like brought to the forefront to me specifically of like, I could have stayed teaching. Kristen and I and Levi would have been just fine, right? Like there's no doubt about it. We would have been just fine. We would have have a good life and, but thinking about like, okay, we do good. How can we do better? And that to me is where the environment and the people come in.
Betterment, I love it.
I know.
I take a bite out of that every day. I think the number one thing that I love the most about your trajectory of success is that you bet on yourself, number one. You sought out the best environment for you, which is not necessarily the best environment for everyone.
Yeah.
And whether you know it or not, you were chasing the difference between who you were, who you are, and who you can absolutely become.
Yeah.
And I think that's what environment does for people, not money.
Yep.
Environment can say, you are either this person, you've arrived, this is who you're going to be.
Yeah.
You make good money, life is good, you're great, whatever. Or who are you becoming? What are the options here? How can I hit the greatest potential for myself and make the biggest impact on those around me?
Yeah.
My wife, my children, my mom, my dad.
Yep.
And then beyond that, right? Clientele and community.
Yeah.
Well, hats off to you. Kudos, man.
Thank you.
I love working with you.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
All right, so let everybody know how they can reach out to you and help work through their major transitions in life.
Jeez.
or just a quick combo.
If my DMs blow up, Jess, they're coming your way. No.
This is like the one that goes viral.
Gandhi Brendan.
Yeah.
Where can everyone reach you, Brendan?
Yeah, I can be found on Instagram more than likely. It's at HuntBren, HuntBren. Also find me on Facebook with the exact same information, Brendan Hunt. I'd love to get in touch if you got questions. I always tell people, like, I'm an open book. I would love for my story to be your story, and anything that I can do to help out in that process, I'm all in for.
Awesome. So if you're looking for more content just like this, you can reach us at Realtors Redefined on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to reach me directly, you can, of course, DM me on Instagram, which is at Jess Woodbeck, or Jessica Woodbeck on Facebook. And Jessica at ThriveRealtyCo.com works just as well.
Cool. Thanks.
Peace.